Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be trying out a team with Choice Band Palafin. Palafin has been an absolute monster in single battles, but I think it's a little bit more difficult to execute in doubles. That being said, it still is really interesting, and it can deal so much damage if you're able to transform its form and also get it in the rain. And so Pelipper is a really good partner for the Choice Band Palafin here. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps in the description below. This team was built by Joe UX9, who has been one of the best players in the world, especially last year, and so he makes a lot of content as well. I've linked him down in the description below. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. It really helps me and the channel out a lot. And if you're new, welcome. My name is Aaron, and I do all kinds of competitive doubles and VGC content, and I specialize in battling. So if you'd consider subscribing, it would also mean a lot. But thank you as always for watching, and let's get started. Once again, a huge thank you to Joe UX9 for building and sharing this team. I also will link a video down in the description below where he talks about the team and played a battle with it on his YouTube channel. So yeah, please go check him out and consider giving him a sub. He really is one of the best players out there and makes a lot of great content as well. And before we get started, in tradition of Road to Ranked, question of the day, I just want to know what your favorite new Gen 9 Pokemon is down in the comment section below. I think my answer is Mousehold. It feels like such a troll Pokemon, but it's actually incredible and competitive, and I can't wait to feature it relatively soon. So let's first start talking about this team with the Palafin. Now, Palafin is a brand new Pokemon in Generation 9, and it's interesting because it essentially has two forms, and it will always come out in its base form, or Zero form. Basically, Palafin's ability, Zero to Hero, allows you to change it to Hero mode after you switch it out. So the idea is that Palafin's going to come in, and you're often going to want to just switch it out immediately, or go for Flip Turn, which allows you to switch out after damaging the target. So you can see that Palafin, when it's in Zero form, has relatively mediocre stats, base 70 attack, base 72 defense, 62 special defense, nothing really impressive. But when you transform into Hero form, you get 90 more base attack, so that turns into 160, which is absolutely wild. Your defense is also increased pretty substantially, each getting a 25 boost to it. And so it becomes a really mediocre Pokemon as something that's an absolute monster. You can imagine base 160 attack, paired with the Choice Band, paired with rain support from Pelipper, and then suddenly your attacks such as Jet Punch and Flip Turn just deal massive amounts of damage. And so, yeah, the idea often is to kind of bring Palafin early, switch it out naturally, or go for a Flip Turn if you're, faster than your opponent and don't really risk taking too much damage, and then bring this out in the late game and just deal absolute massive amounts of damage to everyone. And so Pelipper here is naturally a really good partner for Palafin because it can set up the rain. It can also give it speed control by setting up Tailwind. And Pelipper in general is just a really strong option offensively with Hydro Pump and Hurricane as well. Flying Tera here is nice, especially against opposing Amoonguses. And when we were talking about Palafin, it's Water Tera. So late game, Water Tera plus Choice Band plus Rain plus you transforming into the Hero form makes it an absolute monster. And of course, Jet Punch here actually also has priority. And so even if you haven't set up Tailwind, for example, this thing can just outspeed and pick up one-hit knockouts onto a lot of Pokemon in the late game. To round out the team, you've got Scizor, which is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, Clear Amulet, which is a nice item for it to avoid those Intimidates, and you've got Bullet Punch, Close Combat, Swords Dance, and Protect. Close Combat is one of the new tricks that Scizor gets access to and gives you better coverage, especially into Steel-type Pokemon, and overall, you're often angling to just get a Swords Dance off and then sweep with this in the late game. The final attacker that really is utilized here is Life Orb Hydreigon, and this is just a really strong offensive option because, one, you have really good coverage. Hydreigon, I think, gets access to so many good special attacks, so you really got to pick, what coverage move you want to run. This is Flash Cannon, which gives you really good coverage in a Fairy-type Pokemon, especially because it's also Steel, Tera, Hydreigon, so Steel, Tera plus Flash Cannon is a really nasty combination into something like Sylveon, which generally expects to wall Hydreigon. And so, yeah, you've just got great coverage between Dark Pulse, Draco Meteor, and Flash Cannon. Finally, you've got a bulky Arcanine here with Mago Berry. This is just a very standard bulky Arcanine set, and the idea is to just disrupt your opponent between Will-O-Wisp, Snarl, and Intimidate. And finally, a Occa Berry Regenerator Amoonguss here with Clear Smog and Spore. Clear Smog really is just one of the best options on Amoonguss given the amount of setup that exists in the format, and can be super valuable into Pokemon that are aiming to, boost themselves as quickly as possible. And the Occa Berry here is really handy against opposing Fire-type Pokemon, especially something like Torkoal or Arcanine, for example. You already have the Pelipper here, but adding Occa Berry on top means you don't have to always rely on Pelipper. And the Amoonguss here notably also has the Steel Tera typing, and so that's really nice to kind of cover for flying type attacks, for example, which Amoonguss really doesn't love going up against. So, it takes a super effective flying type attack into something that suddenly doesn't do very much damage to you, and you can retaliate back with the Spore, and so that is really valuable in itself. So, yeah, overall, I'd say, you have a couple of main damage dealers in Palafin, Hydreigon, and Scizor, and it's about enabling them to their best potential. And with Palafin, yeah, it's often about just bringing it out and then switching it out immediately or going for a flip turn, and then angling it in the late game where it can just pick up huge knockouts with Jet Punch, Close Combat, Ice Punch, or Flip Turn. So I'm excited to see what this Pokemon can do in VGC. I think it's definitely not nearly as strong as it is in single battles, but I think it has a ton of potential, and I think Choice Band is certainly one of the strongest ways to enable this Pokemon. So let's get into the battles now. Alright, what do we have here? Garchomp, Rotom, Goldengo, Murkrow, Arcanine, and Gardevoir. This honestly feels really good for Palafin. It's the Rotom Wash we're going to have to be a little bit careful about. So, they have potential Tailwind with Murkrow, but we can Tailwind with Pelipper. I think, like, defensive Steel Hydreigon here is also super good, so I think we want to bring that into the matchup. Arcanine would only really be for intimidating Garchomp, which I don't love, and since Rotom is one of the primary concerns, I think Amoonguss is actually acceptable as the last Pokemon. Although I actually think Scizor low-key is not bad here either. Yeah, Scizor actually you can make a decent argument for. Just that Amoonguss walls Rotom decently well, can retaliate back with the Spore, so I think I'm going to go with Amoonguss. Yeah, my opponent's team is just generally kind of like what looks like a good stuff team, which is just a lot of really strong Pokemon combined. There's a lot of potential set up here. Nasty Plot on Rotom, Swords Dance on Garchomp, Golden Goal on, can also have Nasty Plot. Gardevoir is the one I'm really curious about. It's going to be Garchomp and Rotom to start. Okay, that works for me. Could protect here. This totally could be like Earthquake Discharge on turn 1. I don't hate Protect and switching into Amoonguss immediately. And then if we put Rotom to sleep, like Palafin can just really start putting in work afterwards. I just want to scout out for what they want to do on turn 1. Okay, they go for Rock Slide. That makes sense. Rock Slide plus Thunderbolt here makes sense as well, you know? Yep. It is Discharge. Okay. My main question now is how much speed investment does Rotom have relative to Pelipper? Just takes that nicely. Don't love the paralysis, but Discharge obviously has a really good para chance. I don't think it's worth going for a Tera here defensively. Tailwind here would enable the Hydreigon in the back to just outspeed and KO Garchomp. So I'm down to Tailwind and Spore here into Rotom. Because if Rotom gets put to sleep... Actually, even if Rotom doesn't get put... Oh, no, you do have Discharge. Rock Slide here is actually going to miss the Amoonguss. Okay. Well, we'll see if Rotom's faster than Pelipper here. It is, but they actually Shadow Ball rather than discharging. Huh, okay. I flinch, but I don't get parried at least, so I'll take that. In the grand scheme of things, this could have been a lot worse for me. I honestly expect them to just Rock Slide again, so I'm down to just switch into Palafin now, and then Spore into Garchomp. I was definitely not expecting Rock Slide plus Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball in general on Rotom is fairly interesting, but it does give you some good coverage. It's just not a move that Rotom's historically ran. You would typically run moveset like Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp Protect, or Nasty Plot, for example. Alright, Palafin's out. So now we've transformed. Yep, we're just going to click Rock Slide again. Rotom stays asleep. Okay. Well, that's not great. Certainly not great. But, like, I don't know. I am kind of down to Tera here. Tera Jump Punch into Garchomp, and then switch Amoonguss out into Hydreigon here. It's just a little bit risky, because Rotom could wake up and get a Discharge off. But I think if Rotom stays asleep here, I'm actually incredibly well positioned going into next turn, and Palafin can start sweeping. So let's see. Hasn't been the best of luck so far between the paralysis and the flinches on Pelipper and Amoonguss, but think we are still in okay shape. It's not the end of the world. No protect from Garchomp, so this is Choice Band Rain boosted alternate form Jet Punch. It's a one-hit KO. Very nice. Okay, let's see if Rotom stays asleep. This is a big turn. I think if Rotom does stay asleep here, I'm in really solid shape. Nice. Okay. And the reason for that is because, like, Jet Punch now just has priority and can KO pretty much everything that's not Rotom. So that turn was a little bit risky, but I don't know. I felt like the risk versus reward was worth it to take there for me. I think the other direction to play towards in this game was, like, a late-game Hydreigon sweep, but it's like I don't have much offense with Pelipper nor Amoonguss, and they just, like, took so much damage without really getting too much in return. So Golden Go is going to come out now for my opponent. Yeah, I'm just going to Jet Punch into Golden Go here, I think, and then just go for the Draco onto Rotom. Mainly curious because I expect a Tera this turn. I think if they don't Tera here, they probably are in really bad shape. Mainly curious about the item on Golden Go as well, but we managed to get Palafin out into a good spot. This is... Oh, they don't Tera with either. Okay. Well, Choice Band Jet Punch here. That's Palafin for you. Amazing. Please don't miss Draco Meteor here. Amazing. Okay, I would expect this to one-hit knockout. But it actually does survive with the Sliver. Okay. Are you Assault Vest then? Citrus Berry? Rotom does finally wake up. Discharge probably. See if that KOs Palafin. We survive on 10. Amazing. Paralysis? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Rain stops. I can pivot back out and in. Especially given that Rotom did have Shadow Ball and it survived the Draco Meteor. Oh, Arcanine's their last one, which is really good for Palafin right now. Okay, so I think here I'm down to just switch Palafin out into Pelipper. And then I'll go for the KO here onto the Rotom. I have to worry about extreme speed from Arcanine. I think the paralysis makes this a little bit more difficult, but Palafin can actually like just pick up all 4 KOs potentially in this game. But yeah, extreme speed's the one thing I want to look out for from Arcanine. And I think if you have extreme speed, you go for it this turn, so we'll see. Also, Hydreigon is in a pretty good defensive position against my opponent right now. So we set up the rain once again. Finally going to see a Tera here. Yep. Okay. What kind of Tera is it on Arcanine? Normal. Okay, yeah, that feels like extreme speed to me then, yeah. I wonder if it... No, I was going to say Choice Band normal, but obviously not. We saw the Air Balloon. There it is. Yep. Okay, onto the Palafin slot. That's fine. Just have to not get parried here if we KO Rotom. Oh, they're going to discharge. That's pretty risky because, yeah, you just did so much damage to yourself and risk paralyzing yourself. Nice, and we don't get parried. Amazing. Excellent. So Rotom's going to faint now, and I can just bring out Amoonguss with the rain up. Spore is free, plus we have the Aqua Berry. It's mainly just avoiding a paralysis right now, but we are super well positioned. I'm actually down to Spore and switch out into Palafin here, because Hydreigon just wants to reset these special attack drops right now. Even in the worst case, which is them going for extreme speed, KOing the Palafin, and Amoonguss getting full paralyzed, it's still not the end of the world, because then I can just bring in Hydreigon and protect. Play rough. That's pretty cool. Okay. So Palafin's going to faint, but it's done more than enough in this game. And we don't get paralyzed. Amazing. This end game was a little bit scary. I don't know if it was correct to actually switch in Palafin there. I could have gone, like, protect Hydreigon. But if I protect Hydreigon, Amoonguss gets full parried, and then it was probably still better to conserve Palafin just because it wasn't paralyzed. I mean, we're in good shape now. I just need to not get full parried like a billion turns in a row. We'll just go for Dark Pulse Clear Smog here. Okay. And we don't get parried. Good. That should KO. Okay, that's the game in the books for Palafin. I think this game was not exactly the cleanest on my end. Like, I don't love banking on hoping Rotom would stay asleep. And this endgame, I think, maybe could have been a little bit more optimized as well. But the reality is we ended up eating 2 flinches, one on Pelipper, one on Amoonguss, and then I also got paralyzed by discharge on Amoonguss as well as Hydreigon, and we were able to still win the game. So Palafin just put in a huge performance there, right? Being able to pick up 2 one-hit knockouts in Choice Band plus Rain against both the Garchomp and the Goldengo, which was absolutely amazing. So that is the potential of this Pokemon, but of course you do have to watch out for super effective hits, and the fact it was able to survive discharge from Rotom was also such a big deal. So really fun game there. Okay, next game here. Murkrow, Hydreigon, Garchomp, Arcanine, Breloom, and Goldengo. So, pretty similar composition actually to what we just went up against. Hydreigon looks really sick here, especially with Tera Steel. Similarly, Palafin can still be great, but I am now facing into Breloom plus Hydreigon. Arcanine's Intimidate's decently valuable here. Scizor is actually a little interesting. And Amoonguss Steel defensive Tera here just to get a Spore off could be very nice for us as well. We have a lot of options here, but I don't know what's really best for me. Also, like, Palafin Ice Punch is just incredibly powerful here, even pre-transformation. So I'm kind of down for Pelipper, Palafin, Hydreigon. I just don't really know who the best last Pokemon is. I want to give Scizor a shot here, I think. But it's not that great into Goldengo or Arcanine. Yeah, both which are solid options for my opponent here. Nah, I think Amoonguss is just too consistent to not bring here, because it gives me a switch in into Spore from their Breloom, and with the Aqua Berry, I don't have to worry about Arcanine's damage output as much. And a single Spore here, I think, can really give us some momentum. So, let's see. Palafin definitely is going to struggle a little bit more here, given that we're running into a Breloom. But they are going to go with Murkrow and Hydreigon. Okay. We could totally just trade Tailwinds here. I wonder if they just Draco immediately. I mean, I do have Choice Band Close Combat here, so I'm not completely opposed to just going for Close Combat immediately. And I honestly don't even want to Tailwind here on turn 1. Because, well, maybe it's still worth going for. I mean, I have my own Hydreigon in the back. Tailwinding for that I don't think is a terrible idea. Okay, I'm going to Close Combat Tailwind here. Yeah, so they're going to Tailwind Murkrow. No Tera from Hydreigon. They're just going to Draco. Okay. Alright, Palafin is down. I didn't really have too much counterplay to that, because I had I could have hard switched into Amoonguss. That would have been my best bet. So, we'll trade Tailwinds. I don't think it's the end of the world here for me. Mainly curious how fast their Hydreigon is. Because I can just bring out mine now. Okay. They could definitely switch their Hydreigon into Goldengo, but I'm still down to Draco here. And Hydro Pump into Pelipper, or sorry, into Murkrow. Yeah, Palafin switching out into Amoonguss was probably the right play there, but I was a little bit worried about how passive Pelipper plus Palafin, Pelipper plus Amoonguss could be. They're actually going to taunt into Pelipper. That's fine. That's why I wanted a Tailwind on turn 1. Nice. Get the KO. They didn't have a Life Orb there. I honestly feel like their Choice Specs Hydreigon, given that Palafin did go down in one shot, but I don't know that damage calc off the top of my head, so I'll do it after this game, actually, because I'm really curious. Hydro Pump connects. Excellent. Great damage onto Murkrow. And this is one of those awkward positions now where Murkrow's honestly not doing much for my opponent, so not KOing there is actually beneficial for us because it denies them a free switch in. So that's Garchomp coming in, I believe? Yeah. Okay. Garchomp, Garchomp, Garchomp. I'm going to want to switch out here. I can't protect anymore, which is a little bit annoying. I don't mind going for Hurricane onto Garchomp here, because like I said, I don't... Oh, actually, maybe it was okay to KO Murkrow, because the problem is they reveal Taunt, meaning that Amoonguss is not looking great against them. But I could just defensively Tera Hydreigon in this endgame. The Murkrow's foul or Brave Bird, it'll KO itself via recoil. They actually switch out though, okay. So that means Pelipper surviving the turn, which is good. It also puts Amoonguss into a better spot now going into the next turn. It's Breloom coming out. Okay. I'll take that. And they don't Rock Slide, they actually just go for Dragon Claw, so I get a Hurricane into the Garchomp slot for really good damage. Nice. Okay. Not bad. Last turn of Tailwind now. I am down to just Spore into Garchomp. And Hurricane into Breloom. Breloom makes this endgame a little bit awkward for me. I don't know, if I had switched Palafin out into Amoonguss, it would have been really solid into Garchomp and Murkrow, obviously. Potentially, I mean, just able to one-hit KO both of those. Wasn't amazing into Breloom or Hydreigon in this matchup. I don't really regret the close combat there. Like I said, I suspect it was Choice Specs on Hydreigon, given that there was no Life Orb, but I am curious if Draco Meteor is just guaranteed to KO without a Life Orb there. Garchomp actually switches. Okay, I don't mind that, I think. I mean, dealing with Breloom here is going to be pretty annoying. Rock Tomb. I think Spore is always the better option there, personally, because now I just get a Hurricane off, and I put your Murkrow to sleep. Which puts you in a really tough spot, in my opinion. So, I'll take it. I mean, that benefits me greatly, in my opinion. Okay, for a second I thought it was Safety Goggles Murkrow, because I didn't see the animation really come out. But, unfortunately, it's not the case. Taunt wears off, Tailwind peters out. On both ends. This game is definitely not over by any means. Clear Smog. Into Tailwind. Okay, Murkrow stays asleep. Breloom does not protect or switch. We're going to go for another Rock Tomb here. Sure. I'll KO Breloom. I'll bring out Hydreigon, and then I can go for a defensive Tera with Hydreigon. And I think defensive Steel Hydreigon here is looking really good against their Garchomp late game, no? If I had conserved Palafin, though, it would have dominated this endgame. Yeah, I mean, Steel Hydreigon here is basically the best thing we can ask for, I think, in this endgame. Thanks to Levitate. I mean, Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Rock Slide, none of those are good into us. So, yeah. I think here I'm honestly down to just protect Tera, and then Tera Dark Pulse into Garchomp. Murkrow shouldn't be super relevant here. Because, I mean, we've seen Taunt, we've seen Tailwind, presumably one of Brave Bird / Foul Play. You could run Quash, but, like, I just don't think Garchomp's breaking through defensive Steel Hydreigon. That's why Steel is one of the best Tera types on this Pokemon, right? Okay, so they're not protecting Garchomp here, given that Amoonguss is already protecting. Excellent. Murkrow stays asleep. Cool. And they just Dragon Claw. Perfect. Yep. And I would expect Life Orb Dark Pulse to get the KO here. Beautiful. Did they Tera in this game? I don't think so, right? Yeah. Now I can just Rage Powder and Dark Pulse. I think it was interesting because turn 1 I traded Palafin to get a free switch into Hydreigon, but getting that free switch in was huge. I do wonder if we want a potential speed dive there, because like I could see players running timid max speed or modest max speed. But I do want to do the damage calc with Palafin because I'm honestly super curious. Like I suspect that Hydreigon was choice specs, and my logic there was like if you're not choice specs, oh, I actually want to learn against the calc against Life Orb as well, because I'd expect most Hydreigons to be Life Orb or specs, but let's see. So, pulling up the calc here, if you're modest max, you actually do have a 3/8 chance to get the one-hit knockout onto Palafin, and if you are timid, then it's never a one-hit KO without a Life Orb or a Choice Specs. But if you are just Choice Specs here, you are guaranteed the knockout, as you can see here. So, I probably expect it to be Specs, but I guess it could have been a modest max special attack as well and just got in a high roll. And then Life Orb here is also a guaranteed one-hit KO. So, I mean, given this damage calc and given that most Hydreigons I'd expect to be either Life Orb or Choice Specs, I do think it was probably would have been smarter for me to just switch out on turn 1 into Amoonguss. In the end, though, ended up working out okay. And Amoonguss was really valuable into my opponent's team, so yeah, it's an interesting debate there. But I was thinking, well, hey, if we do end up surviving and close combat gets the one-hit knockout, like, it's an amazing trade for me on turn 1. So, unfortunately, Palafin wasn't able to really do much for us in that game, but it did divert attention away from the other Pokemon and immediately put them at -2 special attack, and then I could bring in Hydreigon and feel a little bit more comfortable clicking Draco Meteor onto theirs. But I think that game was also valuable because it showcases how good Hydreigon can be, right? Like, you've got incredible coverage, and then having the Steel defensive Tera is just so nice for end games. Next battle here, and we've got Dondozo and Tatsugiri with Dragonite, Meowscarada, Grimmsnarl, and Garganacl. Admittedly, this team doesn't exactly have the best Dondozo Tatsugiri answers. It's a big question if you have Substitute on Dondozo. If not, Amoonguss is actually incredibly effective, but Substitute is picked up in usage widely since this combination was first introduced. How good is Palafin here? Super good into Garganacl, but they could obviously turn into Grass Tera. It's good into Grimmsnarl as well. How do I really beat Dondozo? Ideally, getting rid of his boosts with the Amoonguss. I actually think Swords Dance Scizor is really cool here. I kind of want to bring all of my Pokemon. Classic dilemma. I honestly really want to go with Pelipper, Palafin still with the Amoonguss in the back. And then for my last trick, Scizor. Scizor is really good into everything that's not the water duo. But, like, you can make a good argument for Arcanine here, just for Intimidate and Will-O-Wisp into Dondozo. You can make a good argument for Hydreigon here, because it's good offense. So, we'll see. Yeah, I don't think, like, the Palafin's amazing here, but I think it still has interesting value. It's actually made Grimmsnarl and Garganacl, which I'm okay with. I'm honestly really happy to see this. Like, I think turn 1, I could flip turn and just go out into, like, Scizor. We don't really need to Tailwind here. I'm also down to get rid of Grimmsnarl ASAP, because it's just annoying. They might have Fake Out here. It could be Grass Tera as well. But that's fine, because I'm not really targeting that slot here anyway. Grass or Water Tera is what I would expect, but it's Ghost. Okay. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Covers for Fighting type damage, but I'll take it. Cool, they just Light Screen. So we'll get a Choice Band Flip turn off here, which is excellent. And now Palafin's going to look a lot sweeter in this endgame. I probably won't KO Grimmsnarl here, but that's okay. I get Scizor in. I can just Bullet Punch it for a knockout. We're not going to bring Amoonguss out because with Garganacl's ability, we can't put it to sleep. Spore. I went for Hurricane here because it can't miss. I don't know if Hydro Pump would have gotten a knockout. We get Confusion, which is kind of sweet. And we're going to Iron Defense up. Okay. The cool thing is we have Clear Smog here, so honestly don't really care about this setting up on me right now. I am down to Tailwind. Also, if they're playing towards this, I really don't think they have the Dondozo Tatsugiri combination in the back, so I'm down to just Tailwind and Bullet Punch here. Bullet Punch into Grim just to deny them a potential Reflect, like that way you only get one screen up. I don't know if Tailwind was actually necessary this turn, but just covers for any shenanigans later on in this battle for now. Maybe another Iron Defense? Nope, they just start Salt Curing. Okay. I mean, Salt Cure is very good into my team that we're using here. 152 down to 108, so we took 44 damage. Okay. Dragonite comes in. Dragonite. You already committed your Tera, which is good. You have Light Screen up. I mean, honestly, here I'm down to just Hurricane Dragonite and Bullet Punch, I think. Solid damage. Basically, I'm playing towards a late game Palafin sweep. We get Confusion on Dragonite, which is pretty sweet. I think if they hit themselves in Confusion here, it's a terrible, terrible state for them. But they will get it off. Fire Punch into Scizor. Okay, that's fine. And then Salt Cure, presumably. Life Orb. Makes sense. Okay. I will say Extreme Speed right now is looking a little bit scary. I think I want to bring out Amoonguss here. Hurricane into Dragonite, and Clear Smog into Garganacl. Hurricane and Clear Smog. Okay, looks like they're trying to go for Extreme Speed, maybe? They do hit themselves in Confusion, though. That, unfortunately, I think will put them in a really bad spot, so fairly lucky for me. And that's one of the upsides of running Pelipper, right? Hurricane's just one of your best offensive attacks, and you get nice potential RNG from it. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the defense boosts. I'm going to Salt Cure Amoonguss, yep. Just a little bit awkward right now because I'm looking for the free switch into Palafin. Leftovers, confirmation. But like Palafin in the rain, Choice Band Jet Punch is going to be nasty. And Pelipper will faint after this turn. One thing we want to consider though potentially is switching out Pelipper to reset the rain, because it's going to expire relatively soon. Meowscarada is their last one, makes sense to me. Yeah. This is also interesting. What type do you change into? It's the last turn of rain. Could have Sucker Punch. I actually really don't want to switch here. Because the problem is if I switch Pelipper out right now into Palafin, they could just Grass type attack. Which is not ideal. So I'm actually down to just go for a Hurricane into Meowscarada and a Clear Smog onto it as well. Yeah. Oh, they don't go for a Protect or like Sucker Punch either. Yeah, they just Flower Trick. Also, did that really survive on 1 HP? That wasn't Focus Sash, right? Okay. Clear Smog. Meowscarada's gonna faint. So 2-on-1. Palafin plus Amoonguss against this Garganacl. You're Iron Defense, yep. Rain stops. 164, down to 137. Tailwind Peter's out. It's a little bit annoying here, right? Because, like, if I want to clear Smog, it means I can't Rage Powder, but I think I gotta get rid of their defense boosts right now. So we're gonna Tera here. Tera Water. And just Jet Punch. Plus Clear Smog. I mean, it's annoying because I'm probably going to eat up a Salt Cure here with Palafin, but I really need to get rid of this defense boost. I think Garganacl honestly can clean up this endgame here. The Ghost typing actually ended up being really valuable for them, because if they were Grass typing, for example, which is often seen, I could Ice Punch them in this endgame. So we're not really going to do that much here with Jet Punch without the rain. Yep, so there's Salt Cure. How much do you do to us? Okay, this is going to be a really close finish, I think. Now I get rid of your defense boosts. But they do have leftovers, which is annoying. A single crit here would put me into a really good shape as well, but I couldn't safely pivot Pelipper out and then back in, which was part of the problem. 167 down to 120, so I'm taking 47 damage right now per Salt Cure. Yeah, this game highlights the strength of Ghost Garganacl, I think. And just Jet Punch again. The debate here is whether or not to clear Smog, expecting them to Iron Defense. or just go for the safer Rage Powder. I honestly feel like I'm already fairly down in this game, so I am down to just go for Clear Smog. Because if they were to Iron Defense, it would actually set them back significantly. Wait, that was a ton of damage. Okay, wait, they just Body Press, though. I should survive another Salt Cure. But you probably have... Do you not have... No, you shouldn't have Protect. Iron Defense. Salt Cure. Body Press. 77 down to 30. I faint to another. Oh my gosh, this game is crazy. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if Jet Punch plus Clear Smog gets the KO here. If I'd actually gone for Rage Powder last turn, I would have won this one. But I was worried about them going for an Iron Defense. Oh, Palafin! Yes! Oh, I wasn't sure Palafin could clutch it out for us there in the end, but it actually pulled it off. Nice job, buddy. Oh my gosh. That was a game. That was a game. Wow. Wow. Yeah, Ghost Garganacl was actually really terrifying there. Like, if I were playing a best of 3, the adjustment I'd probably make is maybe dropping Scizor for Hydreigon. Because Hydreigon would have been so nasty against Ghost Garganacl. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, that was wild. I need a breather after that one. But glad that the Palafin could clutch it out. And I feel like between, you know, the games that we've had so far with it, it's really demonstrated its potential value. Alright, that last win got us to Great Ball tier, so let's see what we're going up against here. It's Dondozo Tatsugiri. Didn't come out in the last one, but kind of worried about it here. Arcanine, Raichu, Amoonguss, and King Gambit. This probably isn't the game for Palafin. It's fun, but like, they have 3 water types. If I were them, I would just go Dondozo Tatsugiri. So let's try to figure out a good solution against it. Like, boosting with Scizor doesn't really solve anything. Burning with Arcanine can help. It's once again a question of, are you Clear Smog? They could just lead Dondozo Tatsugiri, but that does put them in a fairly tricky spot right away. Having Haze on Palafin would be such a nice tech. Pelipper. I don't want to lead Arcanine if they just bring King Gambit, right? Ugh, this is very awkward. Hydreigon, Pelipper, Arcanine, Amoonguss. The problem with what I'm bringing here is that I think the damage really has to come from Hydreigon and maybe Pelipper to an extent. But I don't know. I don't like this matchup very much. Like, I think the Palafin just isn't really that good. I could bring Scizor, maybe. Let's see. It's gonna be Arcanine and the Dondozo. Okay, that's honestly not a terrible lead for us. Mainly curious if they just switch Arcanine into Dondozo immediately. Sorry, into Tatsugiri. I am down to, I think, pivot Hydreigon out into Arcanine immediately and then just Tailwind here. And the hope is essentially let they switch Arcanine out into Tatsugiri. I get Tailwind up and then I Will-O-Wisp Dondozo the next turn. So let's see. We're going to switch out first. Guess I could also just considered attacking. Oh, they're actually oblivious. Okay. Not unaware. That's okay, I guess. And protect. And just snarl, that's fine. Yeah, that's honestly okay. The thing is, Dondozo also literally gets 3 incredible abilities. All 3 are viable on it. So I'm down to Will-O-Wisp now. And do I want to stay in with Pelipper? I think Arcanine switching out here certainly makes some sense. Could just go out into Tatsugiri. I don't hate the idea of switching into Amoonguss here, because, like, given that we got snarled anyway, I'm not sure a Hydro Pump even KOs Arcanine. So bring Amoonguss out. Yep. Show me Tatsugiri. Okay. So they're going for the setup now, but this is what I was going for. The idea of setting up Tailwind so that I could try to burn this thing. The other question is, do you have Substitute? Because if you don't have Substitute, I can just clear Smog you, and then we're really chilling. Okay. Nice. Will-O-Wisp hits. Amazing. Okay, that's huge in itself. Good. Even with all this, though, I still feel like I'm in a tricky spot, which is quite, kind of crazy to say. Yeah, there's Order Up. Yeah, that was still 50 damage. Jeez. Okay, are you leftovers? That's my other question. Okay, let's now switch Arcanine out into Hydreigon, and it's time to go for Clear Smog. We'll see if you have Substitute. If you do, I honestly think I just lose this game, sadly, even with all the setup that I did, because I just don't have good damage into this. Also, them being Oblivious makes things harder. Oh, actually, even though they're subbed here, wait, it might still be okay, because Hydreigon can still Tera. I don't think that's breaking the sub, right? Oh, it does break the sub. Wait. Okay, they are leftovers, but hold on. Hold on. Because I can steal Tera right now. Also, the question with Dondozo is, what Tera are you? Because I can steal Tera. I think I want to just Dark Pulse this turn. That was a big crit. Well, actually, even if we didn't get that crit, presumably Dark Pulse then would have KO'd the sub and then Clear Smog. You can just go into after. I'm just going to Dark Pulse Clear Smog here. The fact we got the burn, by the way, is a really big deal because now, essentially, Dondozo is not actually healing HP at any point, right? Or, I mean, they're healing it, but then the burn just takes away that healing. So, I'm going for Steel Tera here. Because Order Up otherwise would be super effective. Yeah, they're not going to Tera here. We are just going to Dark Pulse. That's really good damage. We might be fine, honestly. Okay, they're going to sub. But that's fine, right? Because, like, I can just go for Rage Powder. Rage Powder, Dark Pulse. That's so funny seeing, like, the sub is so small and then the leftovers is, like, bigger and goes over it. Yeah, Rage Powder, Dark Pulse. Dark Pulse is doing over 25%, it looks like. Tailwind peters out, but that's fine. So Dark Pulse plus Rage Powder here. I'm just really glad my strategy actually worked, even though we never got a Clear Smog off, but us critting there initially was helpful. We're going to Order Up. Bonk. Sweet. Yeah, getting that burn was so huge, because now Dondozo just doesn't get to recover to the point where it gets another substitute off. Beautiful. I don't know if I needed to... No, I don't regret going for defensive Steel Tera. It covers for all options. Okay. You take burn. Yeah, we just Rage Powder here, right? And just Dark Pulse. Yeah, I think Amoonguss doesn't faint to an Order Up. And then I can switch Amoonguss out. They go for Earthquake, but we have Levitate. Does that KO Amoonguss? I wouldn't expect it to, but... Nice. Excellent. Dondozo is defeated, but we still have a long way to go. They still have their Tatsugiri coming back out now. They still have an Arcanine waiting in the back, but... I think I had to go for this exact setup to beat it, so I'm glad that I at least found a path here. And yeah, I don't think Palafin would have contributed anything here for us, so I had to take this exact line, I think, and it actually did work out, which is nice. Scizor, well, I guess Scizor would have been interesting to consider, given that they ended up being oblivious and not unaware. King Gambit hits the field. Yeah, I mean, this game is still very far from over. This is also Defiant, right? Because it didn't get an attack boost while coming in. I think I'm down to Draco Meteor here. and then switch out into Pelipper for Regenerator. And then I can use Will-O-Wisp to burn the King Gambit. Yeah, like, I still have to be really careful here. My opponent also hasn't committed a Tera yet, and King Gambit in the late game is really strong. But I think our team matchup just isn't great here, so I'm, like, working so hard. They Muddy Water. Okay. That's a lot of damage. And I did set up the rain for them awkwardly. But Tatsugiri just goes down in one hit. Okay, good. Okay, take Life Orb. I'm gonna go for their main attack here and a Pelipper. That's enough for a KO, which I don't love. Maybe that switching was a bad idea, because Pelipper was really good late game offense, but he probably would have fainted to a Sucker Punch? I don't know. Like, I'm gonna bring out Arcanine now, I think try to burn the King Gambit, and then switch out Hydreigon to reset Draco Meteor onto their Arcanine. I'm just worried about how I actually beat late game King Gambit now. If I miss Will-O-Wisp, I'm also completely doomed. I really need to hit this one. Okay, so we're going to switch Hydreigon onto Amoonguss here. Akaberry plus Intimidate's a really big deal, and then Will-O-Wisp into King Gambit. Because essentially, we have enough defense, I think, in this endgame. If I hit the Will-O-Wisp between Amoonguss and Arcanine, especially with Akaberry. Okay, King Gambit protects. That's fine this turn, because I can just pivot Amoonguss back out and heal more. Or getting go to Spore as well. They just Snarl, which is fine. Okay. How am I dealing enough damage to Arcanine to win this game, actually? I'm not sure. Do I ever just stay in an attack here? They didn't go for Sucker Punch there either. I mean, like, can Hydreigon actually get a Draco Meteor off into this? Because that would be a big deal. I think I prefer for Amoonguss to have more HP here. So switch out into Hydreigon. And then go for Will-O-Wisp onto King Gambit. I don't have much damage with Arcanine plus Amoonguss into their Arcanine, which is not ideal. Flamethrower. Okay, so not Flare Blitz. I don't know. If I were them, I would have doubled up into the Amoonguss slot, I think. And since, like, I think it's... Oh, we missed. Well, that's it. I tried. I think if we hit that, we at least have a shot. But with that, it's definitely game over. But that's the downside of running Will-O-Wisp, even with higher accuracy in this gen. And, well, for the past couple generations. Basically, the plan was, like, there were only 2 turns of rain, so with Burn, then, like, Amoonguss can come out, I can double protect, and then I can go for, like, Spore into Flare Blitz onto this, and then have a 2v1 with Amoonguss and Arcanine against their Arcanine, and then, like, Snarl plus Spore. And it would take a while to get there, but we maybe had a shot, but, yeah. In order to win this game, I needed to hit the Will-O-Wisp there, so... It's a bummer, but I'm honestly pretty proud about how I played this game, given that I think it was honestly a fairly abysmal matchup. I had to work so hard to try to beat the Dondozo and Tatsugiri combination, and that worked out, but yeah. I do think I maybe could have played better with Hydreigon. The fact that I just let it take a Muddy Water to its face was really bad, because Hydreigon was where most of the damage from this team was coming from. I actually think it also may have been a mistake to switch Amoonguss out into Pelipper, because the Pelipper just got one shot, and that was really bad. And Pelipper would have actually been really good late game offense into both King Gambit as well as Arcanine. My problem with it is that Sucker Punch from Life Orb King Gambit, especially with even without a boost, like, the Pelipper here doesn't really have any defense, so I presume it may have just been able to pick up a knockout onto it. So, yeah. Scizor would have been interesting as a late game option into King Gambit, but it's really bad into the Arcanine, not good into Tatsugiri plus Dondozo either, so I don't think I could really bring that out, and I don't think Palafin really... I mean, Palafin would have been good into Arcanine and King Gambit, I suppose, but terrible into the Tatsugiri combination, so I think the problem here is that my opponent just had too much to work with relative to what we had. I worked so hard to beat one combo, but then the late game Arcanine and King Gambit was just too overwhelming. But I do think if we hit that Will-O-Wisp, this game maybe looks a little bit differently, because then I should survive. We have a Recovery Berry on Arcanine as well, and Amoonguss has a lot more HP, but I need the Arcanine to survive that tournament in order to win. So that is how it is, though. You know, that's the downside of running Will-O-Wisp. You will miss sometimes, but a game like this is one where I look back and be like, well, I feel like I did almost everything in my power. There were a couple plays, like I mentioned earlier, that I think I could have improved on, but it was a somewhat bad matchup, and the fact we brought it to that point at least is one that I am fairly content with. So yeah, some really fun games here with the Choice Band Palafin. We didn't bring it in this final one, but man, was it good in that first game and that third game. So hopefully it's opened your eyes to the potential of this Pokemon. I've seen it run a bunch of different ways, and I think Haze is a move that's actually really good on it as well, as I mentioned, because it's very strong into the Dondozo Tatsugiri combination. So thank you so much as always for watching. If you enjoy, please share support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. My name's Aaron CybertronZang, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.